Welcome to another edition of Chair Chai Tea with the senior. This story is really my brother Walter's story. It's not my story, but I'm going to tell the story from my perspective, from an 8-year-old's perspective. I was 8 years old. Walter was 12. Danny was 11, just had his 11th birthday just shortly before. No, actually, his 11th birthday was just coming up. And then my oldest brother Pete was 14, I guess. So that's how we would have been. My parents would have been 35 and 37. Mom 35, dad 37, somewhere in there. We just finished Thanksgiving dinner. 1972 Thanksgiving dinner. As always, my mom put on a feast. My mom was and still is a great cook, but to be honest, I couldn't tell you whether we had ham or turkey or rouladen. We finished the dinner, cleaned up. My parents had gone upstairs. They were upstairs in the house, and the four of us were downstairs, and or on the main floor, just off to the side of where the dining room was, where we had our dinner. And off to that room was a kind of an extension on the house we called the TV room. Cool little room in the house. The door that went into the TV room had four windows on it. So you had the bottom of the door, and then there was four windows, probably 8-inch panes by the width of the door. And then there was a step down into that room. That door would jam. If you pulled it closed tight, it would jam. It would get stuck, and you have to fight with it to get it open. I can't remember if it was Danny and I in the dining room and Walter and Peter in the TV room. All I know is Walter was in the TV room and I was in the dining room. The other two brothers, interchangeable. Doesn't matter. The door has been pulled shut, and Walter and one of my other brothers is in the TV room, and the door is stuck. And we're on the other side of the door. Walter says, "Watch this great football check." And he runs at the door to get it unjammed, both arms out in front of him. He misses the wood, he misses the frame between the panes. His hands hit the bottom pane of glass, and his hands goes directly through the glass. And as his hands break through the glass, he leaves this nice jagged edge all the way along the bottom. And as he continues, his momentum goes forward, he falls forward on that jagged glass. Walter falls back into the room after breaking the window, the glass. He falls back down, and myself and whichever brother was with me on the other side, we run up to the door. And I don't know if the door opened after he hit it, but it was open at that point. Walter's sitting on the ground, and like that, he is in a puddle of blood bigger than him. Walter gets up. His the meat, the flesh from his arms is hanging on both arms. He's cut both main arteries, and it's just I'm 8 years old. I've hardly seen blood, but it's just a massive amount of blood. And he panics and he runs. And he runs down the hallway, turns and runs up the stairs looking for my parents. And he's leaving a massive trail of blood behind him through the house. And he runs up the stairs, and you just hear my mother screaming. And I don't hear anything from my dad. my mom's screaming to call an ambulance, call an ambulance. And my dad, who, I mean, all I remember from my dad at that age is that he worked. He had his own business, he went to work, he came home, we had dinner, and we were quiet and everything. There wasn't, you know, we had our once a year vacation we'd go on and stuff, but my mom ran the house. My mom she cooked, she cleaned, she did everything around the house, and my dad brought home the paycheck. That's how life was back at that point. So I had never seen my dad like really do much, you know. My mom's screaming for an ambulance. She's hysterical. My dad, well, like I said, I've never seen him in action before. He grabs a couple of towels from the kitchen towels, and he wraps my brother's arms as tight as he can, wraps both of his arms, grabs him and throws him in the car, and he takes off. The hospital's 5 minutes from our house. By the time he gets to the hospital, Walter's either he's losing or lost consciousness because of all the blood he's lost. If my dad had called an ambulance, or if my mom, you know, if somebody called an ambulance and we waited, he never would have made it. The doctors, and this is all I heard after the fact. Of course, I'm 8 years old. I don't hear any of this then, but they discussed amputating both his arms. They didn't think he was, you know, besides cutting arteries, there's nerves and stuff that were cut. They weren't sure whether they could save his arms. You know, maybe one, not the other, but they did surgery on him. After the fact, they said if he was within 5 minutes of death, that's all he had. It's just bizarre. Like I don't think of it that much, you know. Walter, he's lived a full life. He's you know, he's great, but he almost wasn't here. And you know, from a 12-year-old, by God's grace, he's had a full life and continues to. Like I said, my mom was about 35 at the time. She seems like it was within a week she started going gray. That's when her first gray hair started, and it had an extremely traumatic effect on my mom. My dad, he did what he did, and it worked, and he carried on. He was just a strong man, as my mom was very strong as well. But it's weird, you know, because I don't think of that much, and I'd like to hear, you know, Walter's recollection of that day. That's one Thanksgiving that I'll never forget. I don't think of it too often, but you think of these things and you think of how things could have been different. I'm glad things turned out the way they did. That's today's story on Chair Chai Tea with a senior. I don't know if this did anything for anyone or not, but it was good for me to tell the story. So I appreciate you listening. Thanks.